this sweater that I've got here with, I had a video with this in it, and people were all in the comments like, oh my god, does this guy like anime? Oh my god, what's your favorite anime? Oh, there was like a couple anime related questions, and somebody suggested that I do something with like talking about the animes that I've watched, which I'll admit, not a lot of them, but yeah. So I decided that, this will be a bit of a different one. I haven't eaten since I did the hot dogs yesterday, so it's been about almost like 19 hours since I've eaten. Got a bunch of these Cheez-Its here. I like these ones a lot. They're extra cheesy. And so I figure, I will eat these and try to talk about the animes that I like and have watched. And I will try to balance things the best way that I can, but I don't think it will be, I think there'll be a lot more talking here than eating, but I'll do my best. So first things first, I want to eat some of these because I am actually quite starving. Things were a great find. The extra cheesiness is phenomenal. So the first anime I ever watched, I believe, was the original Full Metal Alchemist, and I got into that one because when I was like 10, 11, 12, or 13 or something, I played games on PlayStation like Uncharted or Call of Duty, and I had this friend on there who was maybe like 3, 4, 5 years older than I was, and we had this little friend group and whatever, but that one friend was big into Full Metal Alchemist, and he told me I should get into it, and I think this is, it was on Netflix at the time. I don't think the regular version is on Netflix, but I got into it when I was like really young, and I didn't realize until like a year or so ago just how young I was when I got into it. I didn't realize just how long it had been since I had seen some of the stuff from the regular, I don't know if that's the regular series or the Brotherhood one. I don't know things about anime, but I had no idea just how long it had been. And so I got into that, and I watched that a long time ago when that happened, and I've seen the movies and stuff that go with it. And so I saw that when I was young, and I really liked it. I thought it was really good. And then I don't know when I would have watched Brotherhood or how much longer after that would have been, but I watched both of them, and I like, I know there's a lot of differences between them that maybe are like, I don't know if they're, I guess I don't actually know what the public opinion is. I don't know how much people like one of them versus the other, but like, I actually really like, I like the I don't know what the word is for this, but like I don't know if it's like the power scaling. I don't know what the word is for like the powers that characters in anime have, but like, I really liked the uniqueness of all the different powers of the different people, and everybody kind of had their own identity. Not many people in the show have similar characteristics in terms of how they fight and whatever. It's not just big colorful laser, another big colorful laser. It's actually very intricate and thought out, and I really enjoyed that concept. It just made it feel more intriguing to watch. These are like different types of individual, and it all kind of ties into the alchemy and what, like, I don't really know how to explain what I'm saying, but I really like that the depth that I feel like there was to each character and the individual identity, if that makes sense. Sorry, I'm not good at like eating and talking at the same time. I can't really overlap the sections, but something, I was gonna say, so with Brotherhood, with Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, I like that, if you haven't seen it, I guess I don't know how to explain it, but like the lore kind of changes and the rules of the world are a little bit different. Like how the homunculus work and how the powers work and the relationships of some of the characters, and some of the characters are entirely different and rewritten and remade in different ways. I kind of like, it feels like Brotherhood is more like, I don't know how to word this, like maybe like a bit flashier and a bit more like, I don't know if the word dramatic is what I'm looking for, but like it's more dark. I don't think even dark. Like, let me explain it like this: how in Full Metal Alchemist, the regular one, not Brotherhood, how one of the homunculi, whatever, is, the corpse of like Ed's mom, which is like super deep and emotional, and then there's Pride in that version has his arm and his leg, and it's like super deep, and it's like just kind of like the relationship is a bit deeper, and then like I feel like they kind of portray Ed as more of a child in that version than they do in Brotherhood. It kind of seems like he's a bit more teenager-ish in Brotherhood, and not as much like 11 or 12-year-old boy. I forget how old he's supposed to be, but he's very young, right? But he seems more mature in Brotherhood, and even though he's still a very vulnerable character, he's a bit more vulnerable, I feel like, because of the attachment to his mom in the regular show, in the regular series, not Brotherhood. I like that difference, like, I can't believe that, like, I had forgotten until I had looked up some clips in the last year or so. I forgot that in the first version of the show that they had like, entirely killed him at one point. And I know he was like mortally wounded pretty badly in Brotherhood, but like he entirely kind of fucking just died. I think Envy killed him in the first one, and it was just like, wow. And I was like, that's like real serious. And like he comes back to life and whatever. And like Envy was like his brother or something. Technically, I forget the specifics. And then like the girl, that Rose girl, like I haven't rewatched the first one since probably the first time I saw it, which was probably over 10 years ago now. And then, you know, I've only seen, like, I went through and I scavenged through a bunch of clips of it last year when I wanted to, like, kind of rediscover it, I guess, and relearn some of it. But, I like them both a lot, though. I really like, I do like Brotherhood a bit more, though. I think, you know, I mean, it's animated a little bit better because it's a bit more recent. I liked what they did with Greed in that one, and how he's, like, in Ling's body, and you get to go a bit deeper into Greed's, like, his personal, like, conflict within himself or whatever. I like the Ling, what is it called, the Ling Yao clan or whatever. I like that extra bit. It felt like, you know, I haven't watched the first one in a long time, so this could be the case for both shows, but I like how Brotherhood, like, it feels like you're watching a lot over a long period of time in the storyline, but, like, it's all pretty condensed together. Like, you don't really notice just, like, how much is happening in a short period of time. Like, you know, like half the episodes all take place on, like, the same day or so or something. It feels like sometimes. I forget the specifics, if that makes sense. But, one thing I didn't like about Brotherhood is I don't really like, the Armstrong guy's sister, and I don't really like the snow area that they're at. I just didn't. Okay, that's not true. I don't much care for a lot of that part of it. Again, haven't even watched that part in a long time. What I did like, one of my favorite scenes is the one where God, what's the little girl's name? Xiao Mei or something. I forget her name specifically. But when they had like set up traps in the snow for Envy to step on, and then that motherfucker was like, okay, you guys want to fuck around and find out, and then he gets all big and whatever, and like fucks them. He tried to fuck them up and then gets fucked up. You know, I just love that anime all the way through and through. Both of them. I love the characters. I love Scar. I love Greed. I love the Homunculus. I love the different version of Pride. Or is it Wrath? No, it's Pride. The different version of Pride in Brotherhood, and I like the way that he loses. I like the way that they use Kimberly differently. I like so. It's just, they're both really good, and I really like that. There's not many storylines, I feel like, or like worlds, whatever you want to call it, where you can have a story and have a lore, and then you can go in and like completely change it and completely change some of the lore, and just be like, okay, what if something else happened instead? What if we just went a totally different direction after that beginning? Because, you know, the beginning part is pretty much the same all the way through. But, like, what if, like, after this first chunk of stuff where, you know, where the guy dies, very sad way, and, you know, that beginning stuff, it's like, okay, let's just fucking crank a 90 here and just do a totally different thing. There's not many worlds I feel like you can do something like that, and I thought that was I think it's really cool that I can enjoy both of those. Like, I think that says a lot about the world that they created there, and, you know, how deep it really is. And then the movies, I have not watched the movies in a long time. Again, I skimmed them recently, I think maybe just one of them I skimmed, but I, like, entirely forgot about how that worked, too, about how they went to, like, after the regular show ended, how he, like, Ed went to, like, the regular Earth or whatever, regular world, like, whatever would be our world, like, or something. I forget the specifics of how that all went, but I love that. It's just, I love that show. I love the ending of Brotherhood. I love all the fights in Brotherhood are all really, really good. The way they use Scar is really good. The way that, like, the father guy, like, completely makes the fucking sky eat him or eat the, you know, when the portal and the moon go together, or whatever, the eyeball and the gate and father, whatever, merged. Like, it just, the whole thing is just, it's just fun to watch. I don't know how to explain how I see it differently from other animes, but I feel like it's in a realm of its own in terms of, like, power scaling and the characters and you know, yeah, that's what I think. watched like the first season of Sword Art Online back then around the same time, but I did not watch the whole show. I didn't like it as much. I thought it was like alright, but I didn't like it as much. Death Note, on the other hand, I love, and I feel like I like. Death Note and Full Metal are kind of like entirely different sides of the spectrum, I feel like, for animes, right? But I feel like I identify with Death Note like a lot more, and I relate to it a lot more, because like, you know, it's all about, you know, mind games, and like what's right or wrong, and ethics and morals, and the sense of justice, but specifically the mind games stuff. I don't know how old I would have been when I watched Death Note for the first time, probably like 14, 15, 16 maybe, but I feel like it, I don't know how to explain this in a non-corny way, but I feel like that show, you know, if you don't really know me that well, you probably, but like I like take a lot of pride in the way that my brain works, and the way that I feel like I can read people and think and stuff. You know, this is like why I like psychology. I feel like I very naturally like that kind of stuff, and I'm good at that kind of stuff. Understanding people and predicting people and behaviors and whatever. And, you know, Death Note is so much mind game stuff just like that, and I feel like me finding that show whenever I did is kind of what flipped that switch in my head to enjoy that kind of stuff, and inevitably, but eventually become what I would consider today to be really good at that stuff. Not trying to be arrogant, I just feel like I'm pretty good at that, and I don't know, it's just words unless you ever saw me actually like analyze somebody or a situation or whatever. But that's kind of why I love that one so much. And I think it's kind of like, I like that it's a short one too. It's not like short, but it's like, what is it? It's like 37 episodes. They're like 20 minutes a piece, so it's like a 12-hour show damn near, which is pretty cool. I think the characters are awesome. I think the only thing is, like, I've never read the manga or whatever. I know like a whole chunk of the show later on, after, spoiler alert, after, I gotta like put a spoiler warning at the beginning of the video. After L dies, you know, like how like the process of Nier figuring out who Mikami is or something, there's like a whole chunk of story, I guess, that's like removed from the show, because technically those 37, they're like 3 seasons, and I think the 3rd season like got rushed in production or something, and they cut out a whole bunch of manga stuff, and so it feels like I didn't really have a problem with it in the show. I kind of just, it just felt like too easy anyway, if you know the lore, if you know the situation, you know what I'm talking about. It's just like certain things aren't explained really well, or kind of just like, why did he just figure that out like it was nothing? But it doesn't matter to me, right? And I love the fact that, you know, even a character like Light, who you like maybe respect his intelligence at one point, even if you don't respect his morals, still ends up getting overconfident and still loses composure, and it happens more and more over time as the show goes on. And it's like, it's nice to see characters be vulnerable like that, even though they come off as more invincible, and you know, the story kind of relies on them being invincible, sort of, and getting far and succeeding with their plan for so long, which he succeeds numerous times, right? But I even have like is it here? Oh, it's not here, it's somewhere else in my room. I have a little black notebook that says ban note on it, because I wanted to make like I feel like people get in trouble for doing this sometimes. I've seen people get in trouble online for doing this, but it's a ban note to write people's name in that I banned from my Twitch chat. I've never used it, and it doesn't say anything about death, so I don't think I can get in trouble for it. But I think I saw sometime in the last year or so somebody got in trouble for fucking writing people's names in a fucking death note at school or something. But I love that story. I love, I've looked at some of like the live action movies and some of the other stuff. I know there's like other storylines of other death notes and whatever in other shows. Obviously nothing beats the original, and just how raw it is the entire time. It's not afraid to like pull its punches, I guess, when spoiler alert, like when Light's dad dies, or when Matsuda kills, or doesn't kill Light, but he shoots it, and then just the way that Light just brutally gets destroyed at the end, you know, it's like, it's just raw, authentic, and I kind of like that, even though it's about like a magical power with the Death Note and whatever, it's grounded. You know, it's just dudes on Earth doing shit with this random kind of power that they have. But again, it's not fucking bright laser beam, bright laser beam. I'm not a big fan of bright laser beam stuff, if you, you know. But I really like that, and again, I'm big on, like, the mind game stuff. I love that kind of thing. I overanalyze. I just feel like I would never be the person that I am with that kind of thought process. I feel like if I never watched that show, I never would have focused on that kind of aspect of life more. I feel like maybe this might sound kind of corny, so talking about Death Note defining my life, but that's, you know, and that's just one thing. That's just the mind game part. I do have a pretty strong sense of justice and whatever in my head as well about people getting what they deserve and whatever. Not to say that I think random people should just fucking die for being criminals, you know what I mean? But, you know, I like people, you know, holding people accountable for their actions. I don't really know how to explain it, but you know what I mean. I just feel like I identify with the entire concept of the show all the way through. Well, maybe not all the way through, but to a certain extent. So yeah, those are actually the only two that I believe I've actually watched in full. Well, I guess three if you count two of them being Full Metal Alchemist. But I watched the first season of Sword Art Online. I thought it was alright. The second season, I got kind of weirded out by the guy being like a total predator in the game and whatever, and I didn't really finish the season, or I might have finished it, but I skimmed it. Again, long time ago, 10 plus years ago probably. And then the other one that I've watched a bit of, I have no idea if this one's like popular or not, but it's Kakaguri, I believe is what it's called. And it's about like gambling, and I like gambling, you know, gambling, everybody should gamble. Gambling builds character. But it's about like, you know, it's like a school of gambling or something where you go to school and there's like a bunch of games they play in the school related to gambling. I forget if it's like a school for gambling or if it's a school where everybody fucking gambles, but like every episode's like gambling on a different game, and there's like mind games and stuff involved with it, and they kind of hyper-analyze the logistics and the probability of certain things and the mind games of playing the games that they play. I don't remember much of it. It's been a long time since I watched the brief part of it that I did. I did not finish a whole lot of it, but so I don't really remember many of the games and whatever. I just remember being really, I enjoyed what I was, actually, it was about there was some weird stuff in there too, because there was like some guns and stuff at some point, I remember, but I got kind of turned, you know, after the first few episodes, I was like, okay, that's a cool game, that's a cool game, that's a cool game. And then I was kind of like, alright, I don't really need to see any more cool games because this show is like over-sexualizing some of the characters like really, really weirdly, and kind of turned me off of it, I'm not gonna lie, because if you ever watched, I forget how old the characters are supposed to be, but I think they're supposed to be like high school age, or at least just like teens. Hey man, if it's 18, 19, I guess, you know, you're not breaking rules, right? But I just remember there being the one girl that was like getting sexually aroused by playing Russian roulette with a revolver in the bathroom or something, and that girl was supposed to be like, I thought she was supposed to be underage. I could be wrong about that, but I was just like so weirded out by like the weird, and you know, I get, you know, lots of animes are super sexualized. They do it. It is what it is. It's part of that business, I guess. I don't know, but it was just like I've seen all I needed to see from this show. I enjoyed what I enjoyed, and I do not need to see any more of whatever the fuck that is. is. Please and thank you. But I thought it was really cool. I wouldn't mind trying to like watch at least like the game part again, you know, because the games I thought were kind of cool. I just don't remember any of them. It's probably been maybe like 4 years ago or so that I watched it. I don't even remember where I watched it. I think I looked it up like after, because I was like, this is so sexual. Like this is like a weird kind of sexual. This has to be like controversial in the public, right? Like this has to be a thing that people know about. And I don't remember if I saw anything like that, but I looked, but it was like, it said it like aired on regular TV or something, I think. And I was just thinking, I just don't understand how this is like not in like in a weird realm. I don't really know what I'm trying to say. I was shocked that I didn't see like anybody like talking about that. Maybe it's because the characters were of age. I don't remember, but I just remember thinking these characters are portrayed as like high school teenagers or something, and they're doing weird sexual stuff, and that's just fucking. Look, man, I like gambling. I'm not a fucking pedophile. I'm gonna do like a couple more of these and put some looped sounds of it eating it throughout, but I think that's all I really gotta say on my experience with anime. So I'm probably not gonna watch any other ones, so if you want to leave suggestions, go for it, but I just straight up don't have the time to watch animes these days. Anyway, fun little discussion video. Goodbye.